Back in December 2012, an app was released for iOS products that was known as Talking Angela. It was part of the Talking Tom and Friends series, which was a series of games that featured virtual pets. What separated Talking Angela from essentially every other popular app during this time period was the virtual companion of Angela. There have been other examples of virtual companions in the past, such as Tamagotchi and Nintendogs. However, there wasn't really any other available options that could be found on mobile devices. Chatbots were also popular, but the younger audience wanted a visual aspect. They wanted a companion or a virtual pet that had their own personality, which is why the Talking Tom and Friends series became such a success in the first place. But compared to Talking Tom and Ben, Angela was more admired by users, as they could send messages to her and get a better reaction to what Tom and Ben had to offer because, well, to be honest, they weren't designed as good as Angela. I mean, just take a look at the average conversation between Tom and Ben.
Ben?
While Tom and Ben were aimed towards children, Angela was intended for an older audience. However, since she was part of the series and there was already a predominantly young demographic, the app had a child mode setting. But this didn't prevent bad things from happening, as the game unexpectedly took a dark turn. In February of 2014, Talking Angela was receiving heavy criticism for allegedly encouraging children to disclose personal information about themselves. These claims were made all over Facebook and other websites that were supposedly dedicated for parents. Many rumors came forward that said that people were using the information that the kids were giving to either track them down or do horrible things to them. Not only this, but other rumors suggested that the app was a trick and being used by a pedophile. Supposedly, while kids were interacting with Angela, a pedophile on the other end would be watching these kids through their front or back camera. This was deemed to be true because since children were believed to be giving out sensitive information, it allowed the one pedophile to hack into the devices and gain all of their personal information. And this obviously sounds completely unrealistic, but there was even more conspiracy theories about this and it just kept getting worse. Probably the most talked about part about this hoax was that if you zoomed into Angela's eyes while playing, you can see the background and location of where the predator was. It was thought that Angela's eyes were actually cameras, and it was then advised that parents should delete the app off their children's device and then report it. But out of all the rumors, there was actually one that genuinely took it too far. I remember there was one that talked about the disappearance of a child involving the game, and this was extremely messed up as you can imagine. And this just shows how easy it is to lie to others and pretty much make them feel more unsafe when they're already in a vulnerable position. A news story came out that stated 7-year-old Eli Moreno was missing after installing the Talking Angela app. The story claims that the son's mother, Jasmine Moreno, installed the app on her phone so that Eli could play on it. Jasmine quickly noticed that the app was asking creepy questions such as, "Are your parents home?" and "What are you wearing right now?" But despite the odd questions, she brushed them off and still allowed him to play. Just the next morning, she let Eli play Talking Angela once again while she was showering. By the time she had finished and was preparing to drive him off to school, Eli was no longer in the house and was reported missing just 1 hour later. When confronted by local authorities, they questioned if she had the Talking Angela app on her phone. When she said yes, they informed her that several other kids in the same neighborhood have gone missing just shortly after installing the app. Now as mentioned, this would definitely frighten a ton of parents as their kids were pretty much in danger if they had the app. But thankfully, soon after the story was released, it was debunked. The news story was from a blog site known as Hustlers, and they're known for making numerous satirical blog posts. These are just a couple of their most notable articles, and it was safe to assume that they made the story to garner off some clicks and attention to their site. From what I understand, the owner and the editor of the website weren't held accountable for making up the fake story, as the owner of Hustlers, Pablo Reyes Jr., has made it clear in the past that they're a fake website and that they shouldn't be trusted. Now, when it comes back to all the previous concerns I talked about, these were also debunked by Outfit 7, the company behind the Talking Tom and Friends series. In response to the backlash regarding private information, the CEO for Outfit 7 has stated that this information is all anonymized and that all personal information isn't saved into the app's database. later adding on that it's impossible for a person to take control of what Angela has to say in the game since it's based on chatbot software. But even with all these questions and concerns of the app's safety, Outfit 7 explained that they would implement new safety precautions so that no child will be in any harm. On October 30th, 2000, a website known as Cruel.com featured another site given the name BonsaiKidding.com as their cruel site of the day. And let's just say BonsaiKidding.com was something people weren't too fond of. The person who created the website went by the alias of Dr. Michael Wong Chang. On the site's intro page, Dr. Michael Wong talks about the oriental art of miniature sculpture, or in this case, the Japanese bonsai. But let's just say that no bonsai plant would be used in this art form, as the website header suggests, dedicated to preserving the long-lost art of body modifications in house pets. Instead, the website introduces a new animal complement of the art form known as bonsai kitten. Looking at the central principles, it states that it takes a long and delicate process of trimming during the formative years of the tree in order for it to reach its mature form. Now, while it's impossible to trim a kitten, Oriental artists over time became experts in animal modifications. Essentially, it explains that the same principles and techniques used in human body modifications such as foot and head binding can be applied on animals. These body modifications are used to alter the shape of physical features, and so it's believed that physically constraining the growth of a developing living creature can be directed to take the shape of the vessel that constrains it. The site then goes into more detail explaining the method of constraining the growth of kittens. At only a few weeks of age, a kitten's bones have not yet hardened, and they are in fact extremely soft and springy. It goes into more cruel detail by saying that due to the flexibility of the kitten's skeleton, you can gently warp the bones at the early age and therefore mold them into any desired shape. This is achieved by placing the kitten in a rigid vessel soon after birth and allowing the kitten to grow out its formative time entirely within the container, which then leads to the kitten to grow into the shape of the vessel. Once the cat is fully developed, you can then remove it from the vessel, and now you have a pet that's formed and shaped into your exact liking. Oh, and on top of this, there were also hand-grown bonsai kittens advertised on the site to those who wanted to make a purchase. Now, well, for obvious reasons, this website received a ton of backlash due to its animal cruelty practice. And despite it being a fake website, since there's no way you can actually perform this, as the kitten would just die, many people still didn't like the idea that this was publicly available in the case some sicko didn't take the hint and actually attempts to do this. The site features some photos of kittens that were unconfirmed at the time to either be real or fake, and so due to a huge crowd of worrying users, animal rights organizations, and even the FBI were involved to deal with the issue. Because of this, the website was removed from Cruel.com, and an investigation was done on the content of the website. Not only that, but finding the true identity of Dr. Michael Wong Chang was also in the works. FBI agents were able to discover that the site was hosted on web servers at the University of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and that it had been created by students attending the facility. Their identities were never revealed, and when they were interviewed by the press, they all used the alias Dr. Michael Wong Chang. The students emphasized that the site was a prank designed to satirize the human belief of nature as a commodity. They were also shocked that animal organizations got involved as well, as they believed that they would just understand that it was a joke. In February 2001, the FBI then investigated the imagery on the site and the for sale feature, and as it turned out, no kittens were harmed and that no transactions went through. All in all, this goes to show how a joke can become chaotic and cause mass hysteria. If you've been on the internet for a while now, chances are you may have seen this as an internet ad. It came in many forms, such as this one asking whether or not the image is real or fake, and then there were other claims about this image that said that this was the result of a dog-human hybrid that has been genetically created to form a new, species. And while this did trick me when I was younger and spooked me, the image we're looking at is a piece of artwork from Patricia Piccinini titled The Young Family, and was part of her We Are Family exhibition in 2003. Patricia Piccinini is also known for her other hyper-realist sculptures, but the Young Family artwork was the one that garnered the most online attention. Patricia explained that she wanted to base the artwork on a personal experience. She recalls visiting a pig who had just given birth and explains that the pig had put on around 100 kilos in weight just from pregnancy. Despite this being a common occurrence, she stated that she was somewhat terrified of what she was seeing, as the pig looked extremely tired. Despite this, it showed a sign of careness and strength, even though the mother's pig's life was going to be difficult. And so she sculpted the artwork to show the mother's pigs through emotion. The baby pigs represented the children of the mother, and it goes to show how much a mother is willing to sacrifice for her children, even though it will deeply affect hers. SaveToby.com was a website created in February 2005 that had a concerning message to those who stumbled on it. The front page states, "Welcome. Toby is the cutest little bunny on the planet, but unfortunately, he will die on June 30th, 2005 if you don't help." The creators of the site, who went by the name James and Brian, talked about how they rescued Toby and found him under bad conditions, but since then they have been taking care of him. So as mentioned, Toby will be dying on June 30th, 2005 due to the owner slaughtering and then eating him. The owners of the site then mentioned that they have multiple recipes under consideration for cooking Toby. Towards the end, they say they will devour Toby unless someone gives them $50,000 in order to pay for all the expenses that's needed to take care of him. Now from the get-go, some people were under the impression that, okay, well, they're clearly just lying and this is just a joke. For one, people mentioned that the price of $50,000 was clearly unreasonable and was just a cash grab. Second, there have been other examples of websites that follow the same basis of sending a threat in order for funds. And probably the most obvious sign that this was a joke was, well, the official deadline kept getting pushed back. As mentioned, the original deadline was set to June 30th, 2005. But when that day passed, it was extended to November 6, 2006, with both James and Brian claiming that they were having problems receiving donations from PayPal, and that the extension only made sense for the fairness of Toby. Then once again, the date was extended for another 3 weeks, and this time the new date was set for Thanksgiving. Something else that should be mentioned is that while this was all happening, James and Brian were writing a book for the website titled "Save Toby, Only You Have the Power to Save Toby." After working on it for months, it was finally released in September 2005, and similar to the website, the book also had a threat. This one said that if 100,000 copies of the book weren't sold, Toby would be eaten at Thanksgiving dinner. The book contained more pictures of Toby, recipes for cooking rabbit, and instructions on how to run a website just like SaveToby.com. Due to how the site was still up and running, many visitors were enraged that nothing had been done to take it down, and many people came forward and suggested that this was also just another act of animal cruelty. So to prevent any evil actions from happening, many people informed the site's host GoDaddy to remove it. But things didn't go as planned for them, as a spokesperson for the company stated that they couldn't just take it down because, well, nothing was illegal about the site, and that it was perfectly legal to eat a rabbit. And when it came for the fundraising, GoDaddy didn't have control on that either, as they couldn't freeze it, as that was only under PayPal's control. Eventually, as time went by, it was assumed that the creators of SaveToby.com were just done with the website, and it was finally revealed that this was just a joke. Around February 2005, a visitor on the site even noticed that there was a pop-up that stated that the site was indeed a joke, just to confirm it. Now, with everything out of the way, you might be wondering, so how much did they make? Till this day, there's no real answer. On the website, there was a balance amount that indicated how much money was donated, but this was just purely an imitation. As time went by, the total amount was periodically changed, and it was assumed that the creators did this to make it seem that people were donating. Now, as previously stated, James and Brian were the only ones who knew the total amount, so who knows if they made that much money or everything was just a fake. In all honesty though, due to how mad people were about this, and how gullible a bunch of them were, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a decent amount off this. Just a few days prior to April Fool's Day in 2007, images of what was claimed to be the remains of a fairy were showcased on danbaines.com. The owner of the website, Dan Baines, explained that he discovered the remains by a dog walker at Firestone Hill in Duffield, Derbyshire. In an attempt to make this claim genuine, Dan Baines explained that the corpse had been examined by anthropologists and forensic experts who confirmed the body to be genuine. X-rays were even shown, and it was determined that the body structure of the fairy was the same as that of a child, but the bones were said to be hollow and light. But as you could probably tell from the timing that this was posted, Dan Baines later explained that this was just an April Fool's joke. A simple background check reveals that Dan Baines is a sculptor and illusion designer for magicians, and after admitting that the fairy was just one of his pieces of art, there was a high interest of those who wished to buy it. So just shortly after, he listed the fairy on eBay and managed to sell it for £280. This whole hoax just reminds me of this video a while back during the earlier days of YouTube, and this topic was honestly just one big nostalgia trip for me. While looking through old hoaxes and rumors, I remember watching this specific video of a floating city in China, and maybe even some of you recall seeing this. Back in October 2015, a video was posted that seemed to show a floating city over China. The footage of this strange phenomenon shows distorted buildings hovering in the sky, and left many to question what they had just witnessed. The footage was shot in Foshan, China, and reportedly this obscure site only lasted a few minutes before disappearing. A simple explanation was provided, and it appears that this was a rare type of mirage called Fata Morgana. Essentially, it's a complex form of superior mirage visible in a narrow band right above the horizon. In other words, it's an optical illusion caused by specific weather conditions bending light rays. There have been other recordings of this from around the world, and as you can clearly see, it gives off the same effect in the original video. If you made it to this point of the video, I just want to thank you so much for being here. You guys know what? I've actually been consistent on the channel now. I'm really trying to get 100,000 subscribers, and you guys are literally just helping me push towards that goal, and as always, I'm truly thankful for you guys. And before I leave, I just want to ask you guys, how are you guys doing? And be genuine, because I know it's so much easier to lie about things and be like, yeah, you know, I'm doing fine, and you know, just all that, but genuinely, how are you guys doing? Alright, I'm gonna go now, but as always, thank you guys so much for being here, and I hope you're watching. Have a great rest of your day. But before you leave, don't leave yet, I have to tell you something very important. I just want to let you know that I truly mean that. I truly hope you, yes you, the person I'm pointing to at right now, I just want to let you know that I truly mean that, and I truly hope you do have a great rest of your day. Alright, I'm gonna go now, but as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys real soon. Goodbye for now.